What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Equine Edge's Good Chalk, Bad Chalk. I'm Brady Klotz here with my co-host Mike Somich, here to give you some Charlestown, Turfway, and maybe a little NFL football tonight. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Got back from vacation. It's nice to be back. Get into the horse racing game. Got a little Dallas money here, so hopefully we keep the Saints out of the end zone in this drive and have a good little first half action.
There we go. Dallas first half. Let's get it done. I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't bet on the Cowboys because you should never bet with your heart. You should always bet with your head. And so I'm rooting for Mike tonight. We are going to get right into it. Charlestown is at post time for race 5, and they're usually a little bit behind. So we're planning for it. Mike, we've got a couple of speed horses in this race, in the 3 and the 4. The 4 is the odds-on favorite at 1-2, but the 3, you get a decent price at 3-1, 24% on the win. Also up there with the pace number with the 97. Who did you pick here?
So, unfortunately, it's going to be a good chalk kind of night when I went through this here. I think the 4 is going to be awfully tough in this spot. He's going to get the lead over the 3 based on the past results, unless the 3 absolutely books it. But this is one of those situations where when you have two horses that are kind of the need the lead type and really want the lead, the faster one, whichever one puts away the other, usually the other one falls completely apart. And if you look at the 3 Up Evil and what the 3 has done in its previous races where it didn't get the lead, it's really just won. And in that spot where it ended up second early, it faded to 6th in that race, and you ended up missing the trifecta. So in my mind, the way to create value in a race like this, you decide between the 3 or the 4. Who's getting the lead? I think it's going to be the 4. So I'm going to put the 4 on top, and I'm going to try and put a couple prices beneath it and completely throw the 3 out of the trifecta and hope the fact that the 3 doesn't get the lead means that the 3 isn't able to hit the try, and that kind of gives us some balloon. So I agree with the long shot algorithm here. I think the 8, 1 Doza Banks has a big shot here to hit the money. I think that because of the pace early, 1 Dozen Banks should be able to run kind of up into it. Don't love the class hike we're going up. Don't love the fact that we lost Up Evil 2 back, but I do think this is a little bit better setup for 1 Dozen Banks. And then I'm also going to put the 1 horse, El Femino, underneath the try. So I'm just going to play a 4 with 1, 8 try and get prices in the second and third leg to try and create some value with this short price favorite.
Absolutely. Hard to create value with a 1-2 shot, but that's one way how to is to toss the second favorite that's also a horse that needs the lead. The 4 is stepping down in class a little bit, and the 3 is stepping up in class. You got to love that the 3's won his last 3 starts here. And I thought the 4 is burning a little bit money at a little higher level, but the public is obviously backing the 4 now at 2-5. And so they think that this is a 1-horse race. They think that they'll absolutely handle the 3 here, and the 3 maybe will be a speed and fade type. Like the new algorithm here, the pace number, 98 for the 4. That means that 65 or 67% of the time, right about 2/3, that horse will be either in first or second based on the new algorithm numbers. And then what we're looking for is maybe a horse that doesn't have a high number to pick up the pieces late. And Mike says maybe the 1 El Fermento or the 8 Wow Dozen Banks can be one of those 2 horses at a price, both at double digits. And so we will see who gets home here. I gave the 3 a little bit of a shot just in case he can actually get the jump on the 4. It's hard because these 2 horses are coming out of 2 different class levels. And so speed versus less versus speed versus more, I would give a little bit of the upper hand to the 4 because he's faced better. And so he's probably had to go a lot faster than the 3 has to get the lead early. And the 3's had some easier leads. So me and Mike are both tossing the 3 here, trying to get this 4 home to get started off with the winner and get a couple of prices underneath. I didn't see anything outside of the 1 and the 8. Really wasn't interested in the 6. Really wasn't interested in the 7. And then it looks like the 2 and the 5 might be just running to finish the race. And so I looked at it as a 2-horse race as we're going against a lot of crappy horses underneath.
Yeah, I could make a case that maybe you include the 7 in there and you leave the 8 off. But like to me, it feels like the 8's a little bit better. I mean, it's tough with these 4.5 furlong races. Trying to predict pace collapses is a dangerous game. It's like trying to catch a knife, man, because there's not a lot of time for the 3 to quit. So you really have to hope that when either the 3 or the 4 to quit. So you have to hope that whichever doesn't make the lead just completely packs it in around that turn. You got some horses running on from the back to be able to pick up the pieces. But yeah, this to me seems like, you got to take the 3 or the 4 and then you put them with prices you like. Right now you're getting good prices in the exacta if you want to try and play that. I mean, the 4-1 is $8, the 4-7 is $14, the 4-8 is $10. So I think all of those are pretty good value. This also kicks off a pick 4. I looked through it. I'm not going to play it. I like the favorite in this race. I like the favorite in the next race. I think the two favorites are probably the two most likely winners in the third race we're going to cover. Although I do have a price I like a little bit more than them as a win bet. So it's a pretty chalky start to the night here.
Yeah, we don't get to decide the races or the times. We just come on and see what's available. I always like looking at lifetime money earned. And if we look at the 7 down here, the 7s ran third 14 times out of 76 starts. So about 20% of the time, this horse is at least going to be in third. He's hitting the board about half the time. And so there you go. Maybe the 7's the horse that you use underneath to pick up the pieces in your exacto, your tri, your super. The 8s also earned $261,000 on only 30 starts. And so less starts, so more per start. So maybe the 8's the one that you want to use underneath. We'll go live out to Charlestown now and get the feed up here for you guys. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving break. There's a lot of good racing going on. I know we had a Del Mar contest that I think the guy that runs Slam Dunk Racing, Nick, won that one, didn't he?
Yeah, Nick Casado, man. He's a gambler. He knows what he's doing. Before we
one of their horses won Tezzeri, the 3 horse for Peter Miller and Irad Ortiz at like 3 or 4 to 1. So I'm sure he hammered that horse.
That's always, so I'll bench the ones real quick. Nick, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, we are going to do Turfway as well. We can't show the races, but we're going to talk about them in between. So we'll talk about Turfway 7 next year for everyone who's on the stream. Yeah, it's interesting in those contests. California rules specifically state you can only bet your own horse to win. You cannot bet any other horse to win in those races. And so you have to declare in contests whether or not you're going to be there or not.
And there's the pace number showing up again. The 4 is just absolutely blazing up front. The 3 didn't break bad. The 3 just wasn't as fast. And so we see the jockey kind of urging the 3 to catch up a little bit to at least make this somewhat of a contest. But you have to be really liking where your 4 and your 8 are at. Let's see if we can maybe get the 1 run. The 1's not doing any running from the back. Looks like they maybe pulled up the 1, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like the 4's kind of scrubbing now. Let's see if this is going to be a staggerfest home or the 3 is going to actually sit and try to pounce on the outside.
The 3 didn't give it up. It looks like the 4 is just more classy here.
And this is a merry-go-round track. So the 3 horses that were in first, second, third at first call go all the way around the track, 4, 3, 8. The 3, it's almost like the 3 needed to press the 4 to miss the board. That was the Medina Spirit in the classic type of ride by the 3 there. That was, hey, we're not going to beat this monster. Let's just go out and get second place money and move on from there. So there you go. Maybe the trainer called Bob Baffert before that race.
Yeah, that's one of those weird. You wonder if the 3 was a little bit closer early, what would have ended up happening with those 2. I don't think the 4 loses, but I think the 3 definitely struggles a little bit more down the lane.
Yep, absolutely. There you have it. 3 to 5 shot that, as Pete Aiello would say, is easy money. He says a lot better than I do, but it got me thinking about Gulfstream's championship meet starting up this weekend, and I could not be more excited. Mike, I know you love Gulfstream. You say it's your most profitable meet every year?
It has been the championship meet has been my best meet 2 of the last 3 years. I mean, it's been absolutely phenomenal for me. It's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to figure out this Tapeta course, right? I'm probably not going to dive in with 2 feet. Or dive right into the deep end, I should say, right out of the gate, just because I don't have enough experience with what the Tapeta course has done. So I'm going to watch it pretty closely over the first week and then try and make some generalizations around it and then get a little bit more involved. I mean, obviously I'll be playing tomorrow and all weekend, but I'm going to wait for, I want to have at least, let's say 15 or 20 races. I can see it before I understand how I think it's going to play.
It's kind of like waiting until week 4 to bet the NFL. Let's see how this is running with high quality horses. They've been running on it for the last couple of months, in the non-championship meet. I think there was some confusion on what the purpose of the Tapeta track was. I think everybody thought in the beginning it was for off the turf races to go to the Tapeta. But now on the first day, I think they scheduled 4 Tapeta races just on the card. And so I think everybody's confused. What's the actual purpose for the Tapeta surface?
I think it's a little bit of both. And I think the goal was how many horses can we get in these races? And if you look at that card, I mean, for me, and we're going to talk about, Turfway Park here in a second, they're another one that has that synthetic course. You're getting a lot of these horses in these fields. And so you have 115 entries in 11 races tomorrow. That's wonderful for the bettor. That's great for what they're looking for. And the idea is that if you do get rain, you're not pulling all of these races off the turf. You're able to keep some of on, keep those fields bigger. So if you have, big pick sixes, you're going to see some torpedo races on there because they don't have to take them off in case it rains. It makes their life easier for these big carryover pools that they're trying to generate there.
Exactly. And, it makes you feel a little bit better if you do have a race that's rained off the turf. Horses typically coming from turf to a synthetic surface would prefer it over going from maybe a turf to a dirt or a scratch. And so we'll see how that plays out. Shout out to Tyler Frausto here. Keep an eye out for Gulfstream tournaments in the next couple of weeks on ExpressBet. Repping my first hat here for Tyler. He's one of the best in the business at running tournaments. Met him at the Pegasus last year, and really, really good dude. So if you play tournaments, you want to get to know Tyler. That's for sure. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We got Gary here. We got Deb. We got Michael. We got CJ. Let's see here. Oh, Beat the Host is Deb's favorite game. There you go.
Well, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Oh for 1. All right. We got 5 minutes to Turfway now. This is a filly and mares 3 and up, going 6.5 on the synthetic here. This is actually Turfway's opening night. And so you've had some prices. We had a 60-1 shot win earlier. Gerardo Corrales has won 3 races already today. So he's the hot jockey. He doesn't have a mount here, but he does in the last race. So we'll have to keep an eye out there for Gerardo. Mike, what were your thoughts here on Turfway race 7?
Well, this is an interesting one. You're looking at the EE morning line there, and you see 9-2 on Dock 7. If you flip over to the regular morning line, you're going to see a bigger number there in 15-1. I liked the 6 quite a bit when you saw that 15-1 number, especially when you sort by pace, because I think this is a pretty clear lone speed horse here in Dock 7. And 6.5 furlongs, I usually, it's not the best lone speed side, but that's a pretty significant advantage. A 21-point advantage is something that you would expect the 7 to have 1 or 2 lengths, or 6 to have 1 or 2 lengths on the field and be going comfortably. But that horse right below him, the 2 horse, 261, is 3 for 3 at Turfway Park. He 3 for 3 at Turfway Park, and also 3 for 3 over the synthetic. I think 261 is going to be one of those horses that could be really, really tough in this spot. If you go back, won at 6.5 furlongs twice from off the pace at this track or at the meet earlier in this year, January 7th and March 5th. So I like the 2 horse quite a bit on top. I think the 1 horse is really interesting too. Maybe Later, not this time, is the sire of Maybe Later. Not this time is a 24% win percent synthetic sprinting. That is wild how high that is. So I have a feeling that Maybe Later is going to take to this, and it also is dropping a little bit in class here. So for me, it was the 1 and the 2 that I came down to.
Absolutely. No, good point there on the 6 with the EE morning line being 9-2 versus a 15-1 morning line. And as you can see, the public is right in line with the EE morning line at 9-2. So this horse is getting down well below half of his morning line. And so definitely something to take note of. Maybe the word is out. Should have a clear pace advantage. Mike, when we're getting to synthetic tracks, and we haven't done one yet, this is the first one, we're really going to look at form on how they've ran on synthetic before. And so the 2-6 zone is 3 for 3 on synthetic. And so I definitely upgrade that horse, kind of a horse for surface angle. And some of these horses just like to skip over this surface. And it's kind of, a little bit of a toss-up for a horse trying synthetic for the first time. I typically like turf to synthetic over dirt to synthetic form, but everybody has their own preferences. I did like the 1 Maybe Later as well. Michelle Lovell and Rafael Bejarano, they seem to do well here at Turfway. I remember last meet, I was betting Rafael all the time on whoever he was on, and he was just absolutely ripping up this track. And so I like the 1 Maybe Later. I like the 261. I also like the 3 Hey Kitten a little bit. If, the pace gets a little bit hot, it doesn't look like it's going to be, but sometimes it materializes when you don't think there's going to be a whole lot of pace in the race. So if the 6 can go out and get this lead alone, then I'm probably not worried about the 7 Hey Kitten. But if someone else goes with the 6, I'm looking for Landeros and Rudolph Brisset to maybe pick up the pieces here at 3-1.
It's interesting with the EE top pick here is Mused, who is a horse that I've known very well from the turf races that we've seen at Saratoga, Kentucky Downs, Keeneland. Has a really low GSR number, but is still the top pick. And so it's interesting when you see that lower GSR number, but is the top pick. So I went back into the form, and Mused actually won at a mile or at 7 furlongs overseas. So it does have some synthetic some synthetic efforts to look back at. So I was surprised by that number, and I'm wondering if it's just because we don't have enough data to be able to put together a different number for a horse like Muse. So sometimes when you see this, especially the international horses, you got to take a peek and make sure that you have enough data there and not always be, when you see something like that, where it stands out that drastically from a GSR perspective and the horses being the top pick, you should always dive a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, one of the things that kind of tips me off on can we beat a favorite is look at the win percentages. 22%, 20%, 16, 13, and 19. It's all very widespread. The horse doesn't have a good GSR number, has finished first and second on turf. I'm looking at the back class of Muse, and I like who she's faced. I mean, Two Sexy's one hell of a sprinter for Christophe Clement, Amalfi Princess, Gam's Mission. And so, I mean, there's some decent horses that this horse has faced. And so I think they're just trying to drop and get a win here. But, can she race back, to that prior form on the synthetic? I really didn't use her on any of our tickets. I was trying to beat her here, and I thought we had a good opportunity. Looks like we're 0 minutes to post, but they are post-dragging a little bit here. Gary, hit the like button, please. Yeah, absolutely.
I also popped the 2-9 double. I like the 9 a little bit next race. You're getting 5-1 on the morning line. I think that horse got a big shot. So I played a 2-9 double here as well.
Oh, good thing you bet first quarter, Cowboys, because the Saints just came back and tied it up.
I know. I have first quarter and first half. So we just need to we got the first quarter's home. So we're at least even. Now we need to get the first half home. So it's a better spot than where we were, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. I like horses so much better than football. It's like, most of my non-horse racing friends, all they do is bet football. And so trying to talk about horse racing with them is hard because, oh, well, don't you just get even money on every horse? No, it's not minus 110. It's not that way. Well, can't you parlay a horse from Charlestown with Remington, with Gulfstream? Like, what if I like a horse at each track? No, not yet. No. We're working on it.
Not quite how it works either. So we are about halfway through the race. The 6th horse is actually setting a pretty slow pace. We're at 23-3 for the opening first quarter here. The 2 is sitting in last, which is not exactly what we want. Muse looks awfully loaded here, going 3 wide and starting to swoop past the 6 and the 7. The 1 is sitting in the pocket right behind the 3 of them. So we're going to get to the top of the lane. The 2 is now starting to cook up here. Muse is going to take the lead, it looks like, into the top of the stretch. And we'll see if we can get the 2 to be able to rally home. The 6 is actually fighting pretty good, and the 4 splits horses. It looks like the 6 is actually holding them all off right now at a decent
it's
number.
like the 8's kind of stalling in the middle of the track. We'll see. The 2's really not running from behind. Now the 8's getting into gear.
Yeah, 8 found a gear there late, and he goes right on.
Oh, then 8-6. Good call on the 6, though. That was for a 15-1 morning line. That horse ran huge, and he just ran into the back class of Mused, and class prevailed there. That's the only thing I've got to say about it. You got to look who you're facing. That was like dropping from the A team down to the B team.
Yep, so. And that's one of those where you really saw the difference there in the late part of the race, right? Where the 8 was able to just pop away from the 6. And it's one of those where I was expecting to come in and say I'm going to play the 6 to win here. But at 5-1, I wasn't as interested as I was at 15 when we saw that morning line. It's one of those where if the pick and pray tournaments, I would have had the 6. And it would have been,
and you still would have cashed for $12,
Yeah. Yep.
So you got to look at Muse. I'm just looking at previous form because that's what we talked about before the race. We didn't pick him, but Eddie Keneally had high hopes for this horse. Saratoga placed, Churchill Downs, Kentucky Downs, Keeneland, all those tracks. Trainers are sending their best horses to. And then he's like, all right, let's send it to Turfway. Let's get his confidence back up, and then we'll move on from there. And so I think with maybe some of the European synthetic races, maybe the GSR was a little bit off there. And so now he's going to have a GSR win. And so I think we should see this horse on this surface again. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I thought this is a great place. There's a really good job of spotting a horse in a place where you can get a win. And like we said, checking that when you check the form afterward and you say, okay, how did the horse perform, just to make sure. It's important to check that when you see a GSR standing out like that, when E also picks the horse to win, because there's something that's pointing the algorithm there to pick that 8 to win. And usually it requires a high GSR to be in that spot.
Exactly. All right, there you have it. So chalk, not our fault. It was both good chalks. So what are you going to do there? Mike, we got 10 minutes till Charlestown. Do we want to hop over and talk a little Cigar Mile?
Sure.
We got that coming up in a couple of days. So I'll hop over to Aqueduct for us. And this is kind of Aqueduct's big day of the year. You got the Remsen, you got the Cigar Mile, you've got the Demoiselle. And so we'll focus in on the Cigar Mile here, and a lot of familiar faces, kind of the up-and-comers and the haves and have-nots. I mean, you see Code of Honor in here. You see Independence Hall, which screwed me from winning the Pegasus contest. I'll never forgive him for that. You got Ginobili, who just faced Life is Good. Didn't break all that well and still ran a great second. You've got Following the Sea, that's kind of the new speedball that's appeared as a 3-year-old. You've got Pipeline for Chad Brown, Olympiad. Take your pick. American Revolution's going to be tough. I thought this was actually a great carded race. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have. There's, I guess, 2 horses in here that could be really world beaters. It's not like as the best Grade 1 field you've ever seen, but I think it's a really interesting Grade 1 field. You've got a lot of speed signed up, which is I think is interesting as well. I'm not so sure Following Sea. And if you look at the pace ratings there, they've got Following Sea significantly in front of a couple horses in here. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not someone else who's on the lead early. When I was looking through this race, I think you're going to end up with Ginobili on the lead. I think you're going to see pace from the 6 horse. I mean, he would have been trying to challenge for the lead against Life is Good had he been able to get a little bit out of the gate a little bit better last time in the Breeders' Cup Mile. I would be pretty surprised if Pipeline didn't show quite a bit of speed from the outside post as well. So I think you're going to have a couple horses hook up here. Independence Hall is going to want to be forwardly placed. American Revolution's going to want to be forwardly placed. Same with Plainsman. And we saw Following Sea, and I mean, this horse owes me some money after the Breeders' Cup because he would have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint had he gotten through that hole on the inside. I firmly believe that he would have been able to he would have been ahead of Dr. Scheibel. And if you're ahead of Dr. Scheibel, you probably end up not getting caught by Aloha West. If you go back and watch the race, he got absolutely crunched on the rail, had to tilt back out, and then showed a ton of heart re-rallying after having the trouble. That race showed me the horse can rate. And if Following Sea doesn't need to lead in this spot and you have 3 or 4 horses going in front of him, I think Following Sea could be awfully, awfully tough in here. And I just think it's really interesting that you see Pletcher put 2 in here. You've got American Revolution, who is a monster in the 3 horse, improved every start of its career. Seems like it's going to be a solid horse for Pletcher, stepping up to the Grade 1 level. And you got Following Sea coming in here who's stretching back out for the first time, trying to go a mile. Did try and go a mile and 1/8 in the Haskell, and that it didn't go badly, but it didn't go great. It's interesting to see that you're not back in like the Malibu or something like that, where the horse can run well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great analysis there. I thought there was a ton of speed signed on for this race as well. Interesting, Ginobili shipping across the country to run the 1-turn mile over here. Drayden Van Dyke keeps them out. Irad Ortiz Jr. does not have a mount in this race. I repeat, Irad does not have a horse, and Baltus is keeping Drayden on this horse. I am so pissed. I'm probably not even going to watch the race because my boy Irad, who I named my car after, is not riding. So, good for Drayden. Slam dunk racing. This horse, let's look at the last effort. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile would have been the favorite if Life is Good wasn't in the race, and a deserving favorite. Broke bad. Life is Good absolutely dusted everybody. Some people think Life is Good may be the fastest horse in America. We're going to see in about 7 weeks in the Pegasus. Ginobili ran a great second to this monster. And so I don't discount that effort at all. Won the Pat O'Brien pretty easily. So coming off 2 wins and a second place finish to Life is Good. Going a mile, which I think is important, but that Del Mar mile is 2 turns. I'm more of a believer in a horse, whether it's a route or a sprinter, is more or less a 1-turn or a 2-turn horse. For instance, Knicks Go 2-turn horse going a mile, but not a 1-turn mile and 1/8 like he was at the Saudi Cup. And so sometimes these horses just like going 2 turns. Maybe they speed up around the turn like Knicks Go does, or maybe they only like going 1 turn, like a Jackie's Warrior type that we learned after they tried him on the Derby Trail. We look at a horse like Following the Sea, where they tried him in a couple of different distances. I think they might have had some high hopes in the Haskell going 9 furlongs. I did play Following the Sea that day, and that did not work out very well for me. I got placed second in DQ, but problem was I had him on top. Just doesn't want 2 turns, we don't think, and has really shown a great step forward. And I always say I like horses that I still think have room for improvement, rather than the old ones like Independence Hall and Code of Honor, where, hey, I think we've hit our plateau, and I don't think we're getting any better. I actually think we're regressing. And so if you would have asked me a year ago, I probably would have picked Code of Honor. I thought he was an absolute monster at a 1-turn mile. I thought it really hit him between the eyes, but I just don't think that we're getting the same efforts out of Code of Honor that we were, when he won the Travers a couple of years ago.
Yeah, to me, Code of Honor is just a little bit too short for him, especially at this point in his career. And I think you've got a bunch of pretty good horses signed on here. So I 100% agree with you. You got Independence Hall and Code of Honor that have also announced this is their retirement race. So this is the last time we're going to see those 2. I know a lot of people ask the question, do you like betting horses in that spot? Do you not like betting horses in that spot? personally for me, it's one of those things where these were races they pointed to, so it makes a ton of sense that they're going to come out and run well here. So I wouldn't hold that against either of them. I think the 7 Olympiad is really interesting too. I know we got to jump over to Charlestown, but one of the really interesting things about Olympiad is if you look at the 2-horse Plainsman, the last 2 times, and the Plainsman's a Brad Cox horse, right? And the last 2 times Rosario rode this horse. And Cox Rosario, they've had some success in the last 18 months, right? He gets off this horse to get on to Olympiad, who he has never ridden before for Bill Mott, which is not one of the normal barns that he goes to. Olympiad was, if you go back and you look at the races 3 back, it was a maiden special weight. And that day he beat Cattle River and Greatest Honor to break his maiden at Saratoga going 7 furlongs. We didn't see him again until he comes back with 105 Buyer, where Baby Yoda freaked the other Bill Mott in that race out in front of him. But he then backed it up. And the last race is awesome. I mean, he went 7 furlongs in 1:21. But not only did he do that, he closed the last furlong in 11.4 seconds. So he was on the lead, cooking it, getting pressure, and then final furlong of 11.4 means there's more in the tank there. So I was really impressed with that effort from Olympiad. He's been able to win on the lead, win from off the pace. It's a really versatile horse. You're getting 10-1 on the morning line. So for me, I'm going to try and play a couple of press pick 4s and be alive to the 1 or the 7 here for a big number and fade a couple of the shorter prices.
There you go. There's a 10-1 shot Olympiad. I would feel a little bit better about Olympiad if Milliken would have came back and won last weekend at Churchill. That was who he beat last time at Keeneland, and I was all over Milliken in my pick 5s and pick 4s, and unfortunately Milliken didn't fire. So, but like we said, another horse that's lightly raced that has a lot of room to improve. There's the Cigar Mile. We're going to head over to Charlestown as we got 3 minutes to post and give a little insight here. It looks like we have another odds-on favorite privately at 3-5, and I actually liked the 3 better in this race than I liked the 4 in the last race. And so, what do you see here, Mike? There's definitely a 1 speedball in the race, and it looks like privately might just set the perfect trip. Can we find a price today?
This is a good chalk again, unfortunately. We talked about wanting to – I mentioned at the start of the show, we're going to talk about a lot of good chalk in this show, and this is another example of that where, look, privately looks like you're going to see just the perfect trip set here. The 4-horse – the 4-horse talent expected is going to make the lead, but is not one of those that you're necessarily that afraid of out front. It just looks like privately is going to tower over this field. Last time was a state-bred stakes race. Before that was running allowances and getting the job done pretty handily. Beat the 4-horse last time out by 3 3/4 lengths. Or last time they faced each other. I kind of went to the same strategy here, where how do you try and make some money, right? Betting the 3 to win is not my style. I'm not looking to make 50 cents on the dollar betting a big win bet. I don't really like the double place here, so I didn't go that angle. I started to try and find exactas, and to me, the 2-horse was the horse that stood out, and it's the top 2 picks here from Equinedge as well as the next player. This is another situation where you have this 2-horse who is coming off the layoff, but had been running against this caliber of horse. Last time out, won at 7 furlongs, but can handle that 6.5 distance. So I like that. The 4-horse is coming out of a bunch of 4.5 races. So I think that the 2-horse is probably going to be a little further back, but sit the perfect trip here and be able to kind of come up and run into second. And then I like the 6 for third. So I'm back to let's play a cold try here. There's a question about the first race. CJ asked, do you find value hammering exactly like 4-3? It's tough for me if it's favorite to bet the exacta, because favorite doubles, favorite exactas almost always get overplayed, right? And so you rarely are getting the value that you need for it to be profitable long-term to play favorite. You need to be contrarian at some point in these hammer bets to be able to create value. And, even in the pick 3s that I've seen you bet, Brady, you're playing 2 favorites, but there might be a 7-2 in the middle. There might, or it might be 2 5-2 favorites, and you're playing one or the other. You're not playing, 2-5 over 4-5 over 1-5, right? That's not really your style. There has to be some leg that differentiates your ticket.
Exactly.
And so in this case, I don't think I'm differentiating myself with 3-2. So I'm going to try and play a tri-cold and just go 3-2-6 cold.
No. Perfect example. If you find a horse that you really like at 6-1, and that's how I've hit some of my 5-figure pick 3 tickets, where I play them straight for $100 and I single, and I hit the pick 3 200 times and it pays $25. I can remember at Gulfstream Park, there was a horse that I liked that IRAD was on at 6-1 on the turf, and I'm like, man, I'm going to bet this horse to win. But I could probably find a way to get 50, 60 to 1 on this horse if I use a couple of other chalks around it. And so what I did is that I singled the 6-1 shot. I found a Luis Saez Peter Walder horse that was absolutely lone speed that won for fun by 18 lengths. And then I had Tyler on a turf sprinter that broke terrible, but was still good enough to win the race. So it was 6-1 over 6-5 over 2-1. And that pick 3 paid like $28 for 50 cents. And, you hit it 200 times and then you go to the bank. I liked the 4 a little bit here, and I'm looking at back class. Talent Expected has gone against Privately many times and has actually beat Privately before. And so, I want to beat the 3 here. I think the 3 is the most likely winner. It's been running way hotter figures than anybody else in this race. But the 4 Talent Expected, if he can go get a loose lead by himself and not feel any pressure and then just go on with it, I think that there's a chance that he wins or holds on for second or third. I kind of like the EE picks, just a straight trifecta, because if the 3 is going to be close, sitting a stalking trip, the 2 is going to be the one running late, and the 4 is going to want to hold on for dear life. And so I don't know. I'm going to use the 4 a little bit on top, but I think the 3 is probably the most likely winner.
Yeah, my biggest issue with this 4 is the added distance here. We're going from 4.5 to 6.5, and you can see that in his GSR there as you have it open. We're at 63 GSR at that 4 at the 4.5 furlong distance, and now we're stepping it up to the 6.5 furlong distance, and you can see we kind of drop as we get further there. My concern is that this horse wants less, right? And that you're going to see a horse that's going to be absolutely sucking wind around the second turn. And the question is, can he kind of continue on with it? And I'm concerned that that's just not enough, or it's just too much distance here for the 4 Talent Expected. And that's why I'm not as high on him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, this is kind of a rare 2-turn, 6.5 furlong sprint. And so Charlestown's a very short track, tight turns. I think for a mile, they have to go 3 turns. I remember Art Collector came to Charlestown when we were in Vegas for the NHC, and it was a 3-turn mile, or a mile and a 16th.
That's a bull ring, 6.5 the whole way around. What's up, Michael? We are talking Charlestown, or showing Charlestown live. We're also talking about Turfway races, but unfortunately we can't show them here. So we'll be talking about those in between. We just showed the last one, and I'm on the 9 in the last. What's your sweat for, Michael?
All right, looks like we're about post time. They're a little bit behind. And so let us know in the chat if you want us to cover another race before the end of the show. We already covered the Cigar Mile. We can cover the Damoiselle, or we can cover something else if somebody would like it. It's going to be popular this weekend. I know Oaklawn is starting tomorrow, and then we've got Gulfstream this weekend for the championship meet. I'll be definitely tuning into that. A couple of interesting jockey deflections. Johnny V's not going to be in Florida this year. He's going to be at Santa Anita, and Jose Ortiz is going to stay in New York. So if I could get like even money on Irad winning the jockey title down at Gulfstream, I'll take it right now. I cannot wait to hammer him for the first 2 weeks until everybody wakes up and realizes he's going to win 4 or 5 races every day. I mean,
who's the beneficiary? Gaffleone? You think he jumps up because of that? Does he pick up some mounts?
He rides very well in Kentucky. And so I think Maker's been giving Gaffleone a lot of good mounts over the last year. And Maker runs a lot of horses down at Gulfstream, and Jose Ortiz will be on a few of them. And so if Jose's not there and Johnny V's not there, we haven't heard about Rosario yet. I think he's going to spend most of the time at Oaklawn, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know about maybe later on for some stakes races. And so Irad's going to have all these guys to beat up on. He's going to have Saez there, but we'll see what happens. I mean, he dominated with Johnny V, Joel, and Jose in town. And so now all 3 of those guys aren't going to be at Gulfstream. This seems like it's going to be Irad's playground for the next year.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a pretty good meet. It'll be interesting to see if he can break any records when he's down there. It will be interesting for his brother not to be down there, because you hear about all this shenanigans that they pull every now and then. You can see Irad just out there on his own. It'll be interesting. I bet Saez has a pretty good meet too. I mean, he's another aggressive rider that should do pretty well down there. It's a good colony. I mean, obviously when you have those invaders come in, it's tough. But I actually like the jockey colony down there at Gulfstream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of funny you mentioned Saez, because I was talking to my buddy today, and we were trying to put together a pick 4 ticket. And I go, hey, Saez is cold. He's not winning anything at Aqueduct. And all of a sudden he wins 10-1, 6-1, back-to-back races, the double. I mean, I'm like, I couldn't have been more wrong on that. And I'm like, yeah, fade Saez. So I used 5 horses in the first leg, and I didn't use the Rudy Rodriguez, Luis Saez horse. And then I didn't use him again in the next leg.
That's crazy. It's nuts when that happens, man. When it's like a jockey gets out. I thought he had a chance at winning the last 5 at one point because I liked him in the last 2 races too. So it was a little nutty after that happened.
Watch out. Paco's been hitting the speed bag. That was one of the highlights of the year for me. I mean, that still shot in that video was just awesome. Come on, Paco, step up next time. We've talked about it on the show last time. It was like we need to have a jockey boxing match. Who would you take?
It'd be great, man. Do it for charity. It'd be awesome. All right, so we've got what is this? The 6th about to go off here. This is one of those where I think this is some pretty good chalk. It's going to be tough to get around it. So ended up here with, let's see, got to get the right paper out. Ended up here with the 3-2-6 cold try. And Brady, where were you? 3-2-4?
I went 3-2-4. I think the 4 is going to be trying to hold on late for that 3rd place spot. All right, it's going to be interesting to see ready to go. Turn.
4 is going to make that lead.
It's like the 2's got Rosario on him, taking him way to last. It's like the 7's going to go out and try to challenge. What's he doing? I mean,
that's a tough spot.
Careless riding. I mean, that is.
Did he lose a rein? He's looking down at his shoe.
I don't know. If I was riding a horse, I'd probably look like that too.
I would definitely look like that for going this fast.
I'm going to get on a horse sometime. It's so bad that I've never ridden a horse in my life. And yet I talk about them every single day. Everybody's like, I had a Thanksgiving Blackout Wednesday party, had like 15 people over, and they all went horseback riding before they came over to my house. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I was just preparing food and drinks, and you guys were out riding horses. I should have been there. Like, you've never ridden a horse. I'm like, how did you not know that about me?
Well, here comes the closers.
We got a Mike Smith early move here by Miss Wave.
Oh, come on, 6. Get by this 4.
Oh, that's the 3
all day. One of us has this track.
Now the 2's getting out. Getting out. All right, this is when I'm at the track, and in about 3 seconds, I yell, "Stop the race! Stop the race!
Come on, get the 6 by. Come on, stumble by this 4. He's quitting. He's stopping.
Oh, there we go.
But now we're not going to even see it. One of us is going to win. One of the 3 is going to hold.
Ice cold trifecta. All you had to do was play the EE picks. It's that simple.
Oh. We should have just played the super, man.
I know.
3, 2, 4, 6.
Oh, there you have it. 3, 2, 4, and then 6. Miss Wave. Yeah, that was an interesting move. I mean, the 3, 1 to 5. Okay, I thought he was going to go off at like 3 to 5, 1 to 5. No value there, but you get the 2 coming in for second at 5 to 1, which was the 3rd choice, and the race set up exactly how we thought. 4 on the lead, and then the 3 sits the absolute dream trip. The 3 just was way the best. And we knew that going into the race. It's like, why are you even – this is a paid workout for the 3.
Well, this is one of those spots where it's like it's a 1 to 5 shot, but there are ways to create value with it. Like we said, you find the cold try, you find the cold exactly, you find places where you can hammer an opinion a bunch of times, or you look for the multi-race stuff, but this wasn't the right sequence to go after that.
Yeah. And people ask me all the time, hey, how do you structure your tickets when you have this odds on favorite? If this was the start to a pick 5, I would probably skip the pick 5 unless I was trying to beat the 1 to 5 shot. And so oftentimes you'll see if a 1 to 5 shot wins the first leg, the pick 4 might end up paying more than the pick 5 does. And that's just brutal because you had to get through another leg of a race. And so, in a scenario where if you are against like a 2 to 5 or a 1 to 5 shot, I've gone all but the favorite before, or I try to pick, 2 or 3 horses that I think have a chance to set up in the right pace advantage. If I can beat a 1 to 5 shot, but oftentimes, unless the 1 to 5 shot is an absolute slam dunk in the middle part of the sequence, I'm probably going to pass on the sequence if I'm not trying to beat him.
Yep, I hear you. You got to really decide how much you like the other horses. I think at a 1 to 5 number, it's like that's like an 80% implied win percentage, right? So if you think the horse has a 90% chance to win, playing a $5 ticket isn't a bad idea, and singling that horse and trying to find a couple around it. But you really can't create too much. Like a 50-cent ticket with a 1 to 5 to me is just you really need a lot to be able to make it that worthwhile playing, and you're spreading unless you have a big time specific horse that you like. So it's tough.
Yeah. All right. Looks like the try paid $7 with the 1 to 5 shot on top, but you just follow the EE picks. It's a chalky night. Maybe we can find some bad chalk here at Turfway. We got 6 minutes to post out here. And
I think we can.
I think we can in this race. We got 6 furlongs, fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up. Race number 8 at Turfway. This is actually the finale of the night. Mike, start us off here. What did you see here at Turfway?
Yeah, I felt like there's quite a bit of speed signed up. It's a lower level here, $5,000 allowance. You got a lot of horses coming from all over the place. We got some coming from Churchill, some from Indiana, some from Belterra. I feel like the 4 and the 6 probably going to hook up early, and it's going to set up for some of these horses that are going to come from a little bit off the pace. To me, the horse that jumped out and who I like the price of right now is the 9 horse. It should sit a perfect trip here. Only rewards. Should stalk in that 2nd or 3rd position, has shown the ability to come from just off the pace, especially when you get some pace in front of it. And it's just a horse that seems like it should really get the perfect setup and perfect trip here. Not loving the 8% sire number on Warriors Reward, who's the sire here for only the reward for the synthetic sprinting. So that's the one concern for me, is how we're going to be able to handle this. But to me, the numbers stand out. And I feel like you look at that last race, the horse just in over its head at Keeneland. And when you have one of those spots where you're just running against way better, you don't see the same type of efforts. I think we're getting back to the more the right level here, the right class. And so I'll take 9-2 here on only rewards.
There you go. Not a bad price, and a big field of 12 here. I can't help but see this horse, Dulcimer Dame. It's kind of funny. My old roommate's family used to own this horse. And so,
oh, really?
Yeah, Eddie's terrible. So 18-1 is a very good price on the 5 there. I like the 2 here a little bit. I'm going with the Corrales angle here. He's hardly ever ridden for this trainer. I think he's hot today. I'm a jockey better. I'll tell you what, if a guy gets going, and if we look back at race 1, let's see here, race 2, race 1, Cool Rags paid $9. Gerardo Corrales was the winner. Race 3, we had, race 4, Rhett Thomas, which, country singer, $123 winner, Gerardo Corrales. And then we go to race 5, deck of cards, Brendan Walsh horse, 6-1, Gerardo Corrales. And so you can't hate the guy that's got the hot hand. It's probably the only thing I like about the horse, but I think, even when a rider isn't on the best horse, he can upgrade it to at least maybe hit the money. So I'm going to use the 2 in every exotic that I'd be playing. I do agree with you on the 9 here. 19% win, 9-2 right now on the board. You get Alex Achard for Ethan West. I was also looking a little bit at the 4. I think the 4 is going to sit a really nice trip in this. It's kind of a need the lead type, but I think he'll go out there early on. And we've seen that speed's kind of holding here at Turfway so far in the early part of the meet. And so I'm definitely going to be using the 2, the 4, and the 9, and then a little bit of the 12 sprinkled in. I don't like the outside post, but I like this horse's running style. This horse is going to sit, kind of close to the lead, but a little bit off. It's got a good GSR and a nice price of 11-1 right now. So I was 2, 4, 9, 12. I might try to get creative in playing a little trifecta with those 4 horses.
Well, we agree on. I agree with you on 3 of the 4. I was 9, 4, 12, 3. I thought the 10 was one you could sprinkle in there too. But yeah, the 12, the GSR is the top GSR in the race, and you look at the pedigree. It's an 18% turf synthetic sprinter, so you got to like that. I don't mind the post as much in these 6 furlong races. You got that shoot that you're coming out of. You got a while to run into position, and specifically with a horse like Shimmering Dream, where you don't need to lead or you don't need to try and completely cross over. Often you can get that nice 2-3 wide trip around with no trouble and be able to run when you need to. So I don't mind the 12 post when you're turf sprinting like this. I think that sometimes it can even be an advantage because you can work out a little bit better trip than some of the horses that get shuffled on the inside.
No, I would completely agree. And trip is everything here, especially going 6 furlongs and who can get over and clear. If we look at the pace number, looks like it has the 6 and the 4 as the 2 fastest. I think the 4 is going to be in the lead. And so I would probably prefer playing him at 8-1. A little bit higher than his morning line. EE says should be 12-1. So we're getting a little bit of a price there. But yeah, I'm probably going to play something. Maybe if the 4 gets loose, he can hang on for the victory, and then sprinkle in the 9 and the 12 and the 2, in there with some exactas. We had a viewer bring up a good point. Ken says, "Can you give us a single for the pick 6 sequence at Aqueduct tomorrow?" Maybe we can look at that real quick. I haven't looked at Aqueduct for Friday. I know Mike has, but we could certainly try to cap that really quick after this last Turfway race goes off.
Yep, that works for me. I just got to find the picks. I got them on one of the pages here. I'm an old school, like pen and paper person, which I know a lot of people are no longer doing that same style. But for me, it clears my mind so much better when I'm able to just write everything down and then kind of come up with my picks. After that, the official carryover there, I got to work on Aqueduct. I already have Gulfstream, Aqueduct, and Oaklawn done for tomorrow, so I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a good day. And we also have a pick 5 carryover over at Golden Gate. Late pick 5, $32,000 are in that. So it turned out to be an amazing Friday of racing with Oaklawn and Gulfstream Park starting up their meets, as well as 2 nice carryovers you can play into, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
So you're saying I'm not going to get a whole lot of work done tomorrow after about 12:30?
Do you ever get a whole lot of work done after 12:30?
I do. I've been working so much lately. Yeah. I worked at least 5 hours today.
Yeah.
So
on Mondays and Tuesdays, I believe that you work. On Wednesdays through Sundays, I don't believe it.
Well, I guess we will see. Nobody knows. I like the steam engine horse in race 7 at Aqueduct. And we're going to have to talk about him. This is a Linda Rice horse who somehow is still, racing horses. That investigation kind of went away. I mean, that was swept under the rug. Yeah. No, this is absolutely a great racing day. I'm noticing a lot of familiar faces here in a lot of these races. So we'll maybe give you one or two. Oh, Snicket, that horse loves to finish second. But it's got Dylan Davis. It's the Dylan Davis Clement angle. There you go. That's been a pretty good angle. Just saying. Yeah, Dylan's been still on fire. And it's not just for Clement. Dylan's winning for every trainer he's riding for right now.
Yeah, he got the bomb home to get us the double carryover today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was about 260,000 for the pick 6 carryover for tomorrow. That's a big one. That's a really big one.
Especially with the $1 denomination, you're gonna see some big numbers into that pool. You're probably gonna get probably 1.5 or so that's bet into it total. But the thing is that with the dollar denomination, you just can't spread that much. So you're gonna get $40,000-$50,000 payouts in that spot if you get a couple prices. You don't need anything crazy to happen.
Yeah, I was going over my ticket today, and you're on the app punching it in, and it's like, all right, when you get to the final leg and you press the first horse, you see how much each horse is going to cost. I pressed it, and it was $400 a horse. I'm like, all right, can't play. And I try to keep my pick 6 budget to under $200 for a $1 pick 6, because I'm like, look, if you're going to spend $400 or $500 on a pick 6, you might as well just pick the horse that you like best in the sequence and bet that much on that horse, because you'd hate for it to chalk out and then it only pays you back $500. And so on a pick 6 for $1, I'm trying to get somewhere under $200. And then in like a pick 5, I like, 144 is about my number on a pick 5. It just depends on the sequence.
Well, we just turned for home here at Turfway, and it's just an absolute stampede. The 4 horse didn't break, so the 6 horse kind of got out on its own. The 3 just got a beautiful rail trip. So Trickazar is now 4 or 5 lengths up. And we've got the 6 horse who's running second. The 5 looks like it's going to get up. So it looks like we're going to close the night at Turfway 3-5-6.
Oof. Yeah, that 3 horse had finished second 3 times in a row. Absolutely balled out there just now. I mean, that was impressive under wraps.
I could have to see the break again, because the 4 could not have made the break based on the way it was. And there were 4 across the track the entire way. The 6, the 9, the 10, and the 12 were all out there. And I was not expecting the 9 or the 12 to be that forwardly placed in that spot.
So as we know, horses are animals, and they can just absolutely jump up one race to the next. This horse I would not bet, because look how much money this horse has burned as the odds on favorite in his last 6 starts. He hasn't won in 4 starts at this same level. And so, yeah, I mean, that, good for him. not one that I would have thought.
Well, especially at the price too. You end up with the 2-1 favorite. It's just not a horse that I'm looking at. That's one of those where I will say bad chalk even after the race, because I'm not playing that horse at 2-1 unless I'm playing multi-race bets.
Yeah. And you know what? Part of horse racing is taking a swing and fading the favorites so that you can actually get paid. Favorites only win about 1/3 of the time. And so a lot of the public just likes betting the favorite because they think it's the best horse, but the best horse might not have the best setup that day. And you're not going to make any money long-term if you're betting the favorite every single time. I promise you that.
So should we talk a little bit Aqueduct tomorrow here before we jump into the laps from Charlestown?
All right. Pick six is going to start race 5. And let's see here. I would not have picked anything in this race. My best bet of the debate is going to be Steam Engine. This is going to be the Linda
It's
Rice horse in
crazy you
race
say
7 for
that.
me.
Literally the only horse in the last, it's the 4th through the 9th. The only horse I have is or I'm sorry, 5th through 10th. The only horse I have is a single horse is Steam Engine. And it's Steam Engine 7-1 on them. Well, is 8-1 on the morning line.
Look at the pace advantage this horse has. The horse loves Aqueduct as well, loves New York in general, has a huge pace advantage. You get Kendrick Carmouche, who I think is still kind of an under the radar speed jockey. Kendrick will take a lot of horses to the front, but now you've got a true speedball horse. And I think you're going to really love the price on this horse. I'd be betting Steam Engine if he was probably 3-1 in this race. He's 8-1 morning line. And so I just think this race absolutely sets up, because who's going to press him? You got the 5, who is not as fast. Jose Ortiz is going to ride the 5. And then, this Bronx Bomber horse sucks. There's really no sense in playing him. Gold Panda is a horse to respect with some early pace. I see this as a one-horse race.
I mean, this will probably be one of the races I'm shortest in. The 1 and the 7 were the only 2 that I listed that I had interest in the pick 6. So they would be the 2 that I would possibly consider playing here. The other race where I think you can go pretty short, if you go to the 9th race real quick, I think there's 2 horses that stand out in this spot. The 4-horse Moretti and the 2-horse, someone remember the top 2 picks here from Equinedge as well, are the 2 that I thought you could lean on pretty good here. You've got Moretti, who's picking up Irad Ortiz, who's leaving the 8 and the 15 to end up in this spot. The horse should be able to sit just a dream trip here. You've got a lone leader in Spectatorless, who's 50-1 morning line. When you look at it, you'd be shocked if the horse is able to get 8.5 furlongs up front. So then you're going to have who's the best of that next group. And to me, Moretti is the horse that you can easily point to and say, yeah, that's the one I think is going to be able to get the job done. So for me, 2 and 4 were the other standouts here. And I think if you're able to go short here, it makes a ton of sense.
I think Summer to Remember was claimed off of Christophe Clement, if I'm not mistaken. Rudy Rodriguez keeps Rosario aboard, who's ridden this horse to victory before. I agree it's 2-4 in this race for me. So maybe that's something where if you're playing the pick 6, you can get skinny, try to single Steam Engine, and then try to go 2 deep in race 9, and then spread in the other legs, because looking at the other legs, I really don't have a whole lot of strong opinions as far as a single goes that I'd be willing to go very short in. And when you have a dollar denomination, the more singles you can find, the better. And Snicket in the last race I will not be playing. That horse, I've been singled to Snicket. You can't tell. I'm a pretty emotional horse player sometimes, but I've been singled to this horse a few times, and second place just burns. If you're going to finish second, you might as well finish last, because it hurts worse. It's finishing second.
Yeah, Mandate is currently my angriest horse, and Mandate keeps showing up for 25,000 in the New York circuit. Freaking horse cost me a lot of money this summer at Belmont. I've not forgiven him for it.
Yeah, you have certain jockeys that just like have a vendetta against you. They don't know it, but you know it. And then there's certain horses like you like Rock Emperor, for example, is one of those horses. How many people singled Rock Emperor when he was like 3-5? Like last weekend, he ran at 3-5 and didn't have a shot. But when he's 15-1 at Belmont, then he wins for fun in a grade 1. Like
that's when he's able to get the job done.
As soon as you divorce the horse, that's when the horse bounces and comes back.
No kidding, man. I felt that with Rock Emperor. I'm surprised your bull didn't win at the Breeders' Cup, because that was my newest divorce, and so that would have been an expected winner for you there.
My bull, love it. I missed the bull already. He's going to be a great sire, I have a feeling. All right, Charlestown. We got one more race to cap off the night with you guys. 5 minutes, 4.5 furlongs, going 1 turn. This is a quick sprint. We have another odds-on favorite, the 8-horse Forced at 1-2. And I believe a chalk has won every race that we've covered tonight, unfortunately. But is this a good chalk or a bad chalk, Mike?
Well, see, this is the problem. Forced is the best horse in the race. So from that perspective, he's a good chalk. Do I have any interest in betting Forced in this spot? Not really. If you go back to that pace number, something that I've noticed when I'm using the Equinedge pace numbers is when you have 2 horses that are that high, that generally isn't good for either of them. We'll put it that way, because they are both straight up need the lead horses who want to burn out front. And when they're the two best horses, I mean, this just screams pace tool to me. I can't take 1 to 2 on the 8. So if I'm going to play either of these, I would be playing 7 to 2 on the 4. It sets up well for the 2 horse, Noble Invader, and Noble Endeavor. That's where I ended up in this spot. Noble Endeavor is coming in from Laurel, coming in from Parks, better racetracks, better horses. We're at 5.5. We're cutting back to 4.5. That's probably my biggest concern. But note the running lines in those: first call, second call, first place in both of those 5.5 dirt sprints at Parks and at Laurel. I don't think the 2 horse can be that far behind. And if the 2 horse is able to stay relatively close to the 2 of them, they burn each other up front. I have a feeling that Noble Endeavor at 5 to 1 is the horse that you want to be on here later in the race.
Yep, that's a horse that can be tactical and come off the pace. And you're getting 5 to 1 right now. This was a super hard one for me because there are 2 horses in the race that need the lead. They're both 99s in the pace figure. And so you think, okay, one of 2 things are going to happen. Either, or actually, there could be 3 things that happen. Either Forrest is just the best horse in the race, and even if the 4 horse presses him, it's not going to matter. Number 2 is both of these horses speedball up front, and it sets it up for a closer. Number 3, these horses could just be 5 to 10 clear of the field, and it's a 2 horse race. So I'm still trying to figure out what one of those scenarios is going to play out. I think that they're going to be clear. Going 4.5 is short. I mean, this is, yep. You look at Los Al, and the quarter horses stretch out to 4.5 sometimes. And so it's like on Los Al sprint night, 4.5 furlongs is like their longest race, but it's still over in a blink of an eye. Or I think of Keeneland for the 2-year-olds when they have them on the hill, they do that little 4.5 furlong that's like kind of a half turn. And so, look, the 4 horses burned a bunch of money. The 8 horse is definitely, I think, the class of the field. Man, this is a tough one here. I probably would not be playing any kind of win bet here. This is another race where we're going to have to try to find a horse underneath. What do we think here of the 5 horse, Dan the Man Can, for 3rd place? Maybe, I don't know. I just feel like this track's been a merry-go-round tonight, and it's probably going to come in 8-4 straight.
Well, here's the thing, and this is one of those that you got to kind of take a peek at. So Forrest is coming in from Laurel. The last 2 races went 21-1, 45 flat, and 45-1, and was able to run well in both of those, putting up decent numbers, winning the first effort, finishing a little bit off the second effort. Was able to go 22-1, going 4 furlongs, 3 back, and able to get the job done. If you go to the 4 horse's last 2 races went 21-4, so slightly faster, than 45-2 and 46-1, and both of those wasn't able to hang on. So this is another situation where I think if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to play one or the other, I think you have to play the 8. I think you try and beat the 4 in second, and I think you go 8-2 straight exacta. And so to me, it's either you go 8-2 exacta or you go the 2 with the win, and I think you're going to probably get about the same price when you look at it on both of those. So right now you're going to get, just pulling up the exacta numbers, but now you're only getting 2 to 1 on the 2 horse. And the exacta is paying, God, it's not going to pay anything, $3. So yeah, I mean, this is almost for me one of those races where, you got to find a 3rd horse. Maybe Dan the Can Man is the way to go. This is one of those races where where the prices are at, it's a tough one to play. Who's Son of Darkness is the horse's scratched. Yeah. I agree with you calling the 5. I think if you're trying to get a price in here, you go 5. And so I would probably, I'm going to play a small try and go 8-2-5. 2-8-5, and then if we can get any type of price to float up here, I would be a little interested in the 2 to win.
I'll tell you what, the 5 horse has been good to me all of 2021. Colonel Liam was the 5. Nick's Go was the 5. There's been a bunch of horses that I've bet into the winner circle that were from the 5 post this year. So maybe the Dan the Man can run big here. Looks like we've still got a few more minutes before they get to the post. Looks like the 8's actually floating up to 4 to 5, almost even money now. So the 2's taking the late money.
I don't hate Scotty's calling the 1 here as a horse that could run 3rd or 4th in this spot. If you're trying to find someone who kind of can close into it, last time as the favorite was able to close ground and get the job done. This is another one where, I think that the shorter distance might be a little too short, but I do think that this horse could make some noise in the lower positions, not necessarily be able to win the race. So maybe even try and, say 8-2-1, 8-2-5, something like that, and see if we can get a price into that 3rd spot. I'm I'm pretty set on 8-2 or 2-8. I think it's going to be 8-2, but I just don't like the value on it.
Yeah, I know. Maybe Colin's got the best idea. Maybe this is a pass race. I mean, this is unless you have a strong opinion, this is wide open.
I will be betting the least amount on this race that we've talked about tonight. We'll put it that way.
It's all about the units, and I think that's interesting to talk about. All right, are you playing the race for action, just to have something on it, or are you playing it to try to make a move? Two different things, Totally. So play a 50-cent try with trying to use 2x2x2, and see if it hits, and maybe you get a big one. But yeah, I think we're seeing this race the right way. The 4 and the 8 are going to be out in the lead. Maybe we get the 5, the 2, or the 1 coming late to try to make a stab at this thing when it gets close to the wire.
Yep, I think you're on it.
Cowboys are up 13-7 at halftime, and Zeke is hardly ran out of his shadow, so that's good for Mike as well.
The football game is going to win.
Yeah, Taysom Hill's only got 12 yards. I took the under on Taysom Hill for 42, 43 yards. CD Lamb has a 33-yard gain. Zeke's at 12 yards. Mark Ingram's at 12 yards. Some of these Monday night and Thursday night games have just been kind of I don't know, not that great. Maybe it's because they're not wearing the color rush jerseys anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good without those color rush jerseys.
It made the football players look like highlighters. I mean, it was something. Do you like anything in college football this weekend? I know I like Alabama +7. I got them actually +7.5 earlier this week. So I think it'll be a close game against Georgia. I think everybody's writing Alabama off, and because they've had some tough wins, and Auburn should have beat them last week. I mean, come on, Auburn, you're not going to get a better shot at that than you had last Saturday.
I like the under in that game. We talked about it a little before air. Georgia usually scores off of their defense. I just don't see them turning Alabama over that often. Alabama's defense is not the best in the world, but they're pretty stout. And Georgia's offense, it feels like you have, good versus good and pretty good versus pretty good here. And I would expect both defenses play very well in this spot, since I think they have the advantage on both sides of the ball. So I would take the under in that spot. I like Western Kentucky tomorrow night, -3.5. They're playing University of Texas San Antonio, and Western Kentucky's just played a lot better schedule. They lost to Indiana, they lost to Michigan State, and then they played in conference. Texas San Antonio came into last week undefeated, and weren't able to get the job done going into the conference championship game here. But I'll take Western Kentucky and lay the 3.5 and see if we can get a cheap favorite home.
I thought an interesting one tomorrow night was Oregon-Utah. Utah absolutely smothered Oregon last time out, and now they're only a 3-point favorite. So that's kind of a fishy line to me. Who knows? Maybe Oregon can turn the tables on them. I like Utah in that game. Michigan should roll through Iowa, I would think. I don't know if they'll cover, but I think Michigan's for real this year. Who would you put in your top 4 right now for the college football playoff? It's kind of interesting. You have a dominant team in Georgia. Then you got, all right, now we have Alabama that might be staring at 2 losses. But what if they play a good game to Georgia? And then you've got a Cincinnati, you've got a Notre Dame, and you got a Michigan.
You got to think Cincy's getting left out, right? I mean, you don't want to say it, but you got to think that Cincy's going to end up being left out. So if Alabama gets the job done, it's Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, and I can't think of the 4th team.
Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah. You're just not going to end up with – they're going to try and –
with a coach or without a coach. They hired a new coach, but that was quick.
But it's crazy, too. I mean, just everything you've seen from coming out of USC now, where the players are starting to not practice, the seniors, and they're upset because Lincoln Riley's out recruiting instead of with the team. Oklahoma's already lost a bunch of their recruits for next season because of the coach switch. I got to say, though, the LSU move for Brian Kelly, not a huge fan of how it went down or how he handled it. Either. But he's got the best players with the best facilities and the most money and the least restrictions on him that he's had his entire career. And he's won everywhere he went. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're going to be very, very, very good in about 2 years. Yeah.
Well, maybe Lincoln Riley just didn't want to join the SEC. That could be a thing. All right. Now we're off at Charleston.
It looks like the 8's going to get the lead. And the 5 horse is going to be the one that presses, not the 4. Here comes the 4 gunning up the rail now. This is not a great spot here for the 4 horse. We're going to see if any of the closers can get the job done. It looks like the 8's going to be free and clear, and this is pretty much a dream trip here for the 8. He's probably going to wire this field. So it's all about what we can get underneath.
5 chalks and 5 races.
Yeah. This 2-horse doesn't seem like he's picking up his feet much. See if we can get something going on the turn.
Like the 7's running, maybe could contend for 2nd or 3rd. It's like the 4's totally toast.
5 horses put in a good effort here.
Yeah.
The 2 and the 1 both. Oh, the 2 kind of cut the 1 off there.
Come on, Paco. I can't wait for that. For Gulfstream, for Paco and Irad to go at it in these turf sprints. If we're going to start, maybe talking about some Gulfstream on some upcoming shows with it being the championship meet. But if you look at last year, the percentages of Irad or Paco winning whatever 5 furlong turf sprint it was amazing. I mean, these guys, it's like their specialty.
It's aggression, man. On that turf course, you've got to be forwardly placed or close to the lead or safe ground if you're not going to be anywhere near it. It's a lot of it is just aggression. And Paco especially, man, he puts those horses forward on that Gulfstream turf, and it pays dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, there you have it, guys. 5 chalks and 5 races. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. Good luck this weekend. Good luck if you're playing the Cigar Mile or Gulfstream opening day or Oaklawn Park. We'll be with you guys next Thursday talking about some night races. And I know we're talking to trying to open up maybe a few different tracks, seeing what we can get our hands on, because we definitely want to show you guys the video of the feed, but we've got to work with the tracks on that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please give us a follow, a retweet, like the show, leave us some reviews, leave us some comments, and we'll see you next week, whether you're betting the good chalk or fading the bad chalk. See you guys.
Good luck, everybody.